Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5 to take a look at the first of the brand new additions that have been added to the festival playlist as part of Series 30, which is this Hyundai Kona N. To unlock this new vehicle, all you have to do is complete 20 points of the summer season in the festival playlist. It is good to see that there are no brand new to this game cars for the 40-point rewards this series. But as you can see, I've unlocked the Hyundai by doing the trial, the 3 event labs, the photo challenge, and the 4 rivals events, one of which involves using the Hot Wheels monster truck, which is a bit of fun. But yeah, it's the same every week. All of the new to this game cars are 20-point prizes. We have the Lynk & Co. O2 hatchback next week, the Hyundai i30N in winter, and the MG MG7 in spring, as well as the brand new to Forza Hyundai Ioniq 6 for the 80 points overall prize. The 2022 Hyundai Kona N is a small crossover, not quite a hatchbacky thing, and yes, I am going to keep calling it Hyundai because I can't quite bring myself to call it a Hyundai. It has a 2-litre engine producing 176 horsepower and 385 torques, all of which go through the front wheels, but being a sort of slightly bigger crossover type thing, weighs 1,515 kilos, which isn't actually too bad for this type of vehicle, but it puts it in B class at 684 PI from standard here in Forza. And, well, maybe the weight is a little bit of a problem, because it's not a very big crossover. It's kind of like a slightly raised up, slightly chunkier hatchback. And it is a pretty cool little thing. I do like it. There is just one problem, though, and that's that the i30N exists. And I would always have that over this. I don't know how the prices relate. It might be that that costs a bit more. But I imagine it's a more powerful car. It's just as practical, I would say. Maybe this one has slightly more room inside, and I think the i30N looks better and would be a more kind of dynamic hot hatch to drive. That's how I kind of imagine it. I find this car has too many slightly awkward lines. It is incredibly cool. I'm sure it's an incredibly good car, just like the i30N. It's just, if I had a choice of the two, I would go for the i30, not for the Kona. Both of them, though, are incredibly cool, fun little hatchbacks, so I can't wait to test out the i30N as well. In terms of manufacturer colours, there are a few options. There's the black, which we receive the car in. There's red, but I think it's kind of a shame to paint it that colour, because it sort of hides the red accents. There's the Hyundai kind of frosty blue colour, which I think's probably the only option here. Or there's a sort of slightly creamy white. I am, though, going to go for the Hyundai N kind of frosty blue colour, because I think that's really the only option on this car. In terms of upgrades and customization, there isn't a lot, to be honest, but there's all the things you'd expect. There is one engine swap, an inline 4-turbo rally. You can rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive swap it. I would be tempted to all-wheel drive swap it. You can put your usual Forza Aero on. Again, it doesn't have the silly tow hook on the front, so it actually looks not too bad on this one. The rear wing, however, kind of goes over the existing wing, which looks a little bit awkward. Apart from that, though, there's your usual tyre compounds, tyre widths, track width, which will kind of give it a slightly more aggressive stance, so it's probably worth doing that. Usual drivetrain options, platform and handling options, and engine upgrades. So I then went and applied a B-class tune from Greeted Dust and headed into some open racing. I joined for the second race of an adventure at the Estadio circuit. First impressions here were that the car was good to drive, but had a habit of tripodding around the corners. Despite this, I managed to stay out in front for a good portion of the race, until a Civic that was a lot faster than me got past and drove off into the distance. I did eventually finish in second place though, so not too bad. The second race was at the Reservorio Sprint, which got off to a bit of a slow start. However, not long into the race, I once again had a good lead, with the slight help of 2 Nissans killing one another. Eventually, though, the inevitable happened, and that Civic got past and won again, so it was another second place for the Kona. That was the end of that adventure, so I went into another one. The first race was again at the Estadio circuit. This was a very similar story to last time, with the Civic again winning the race. This time, though, only 3 people were actually racing, and I kept putting myself in the wall for some reason, but did eventually get second place again. The second race in this one was at Vista Del Mar. Here I had an excellent battle with a Peugeot for a little bit, but he did gradually pull a gap to me towards the end of the race. This time though, that Civic didn't catch me, so I once again got second place, just losing to a Peugeot rather than a Honda this time. And finally, the third and final race was at Playa Azul. Again, it was a similar race. I had a great time trying to keep up with the Peugeot. The Civic though tore past both of us and won by absolutely miles. I did also lose out to the Peugeot a bit by the end, because my driving gradually went further and further downhill in this one. But it was a fun series of races overall. The Kona did very well, I think, in these races. It's a fun car to drive, it seemed reasonably fast, and had some good results. It's not crazy good, as we saw how ridiculous things like the Civic are still a lot faster, but it wasn't all that bad either. I would have to conclude then that the Kona is quite a good car. It's fun to drive stock, and also very fun to drive with this tune on, and reasonably fast, but it's not going to dominate the lobbies and win everything like the Civic, for example. It is though a cool, slightly larger hot hatch, but again, it has one problem. The fact that the i30N exists. I can't wait to test that thing out in a couple of weeks when it comes to the game. For now though, that is going to be all. Do let me know what you think of this car, but otherwise thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next one very soon.